Hi, folks. Steve Urban here, founder and CEO at recruiting firm Riderflex. If you enjoyed today's guest interview, please give it a like and be sure to subscribe to the Riderflex podcast. And now, a quick word from our sponsor.
Try the #1 marketing platform for small business. Everything you need from design to marketing to CRM. Learn more at marketing360.com. Marketing 360. Fuel your brand.
Oh, Mike Fata on the Riderflex podcast. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing well. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, appreciate you being on here. Cool story. I don't know if I've interviewed anybody that dropped out of school at 13. I mean, that's like Henry Ford, right? Didn't Henry Ford drop out at like 13 or something? I can't remember.
Well, I think back in the day, like school was, people needed to start working, and then that changed up a little bit. But I just went back to maybe how it was, in older times. I needed to start working.
Yeah, man, cool story. So tell me about your family a little bit. Let's talk about early life. Mom, dad, siblings, where you grew up, some of that stuff. Go for it.
Sure. Yeah, I was born in Thunder Bay, Ontario, so I'm a Canadian. My mom and dad split up when I was 2 years old, and then when I was 7, my mom moved us to Winnipeg, Manitoba. So I grew up in Winnipeg, and single mom. We were pretty poor, and not the easiest life, but we had a lot of support from my mom, and so we had some strong family values and family getting together. She was working her butt off, a couple jobs and trying to better her education. She was an accountant, and I had a lot of freedom, I guess, as a kid, being a latchkey kid, taking myself to school and coming home. I have an older brother, and he was a good support mechanism for me for sure at that time. But just I'd say that's maybe the typical single mom family.
Okay.
Is how I grew up. Yeah.
She didn't remarry when you were young, or is she married now?
No, she's passed away now, unfortunately. But no, she didn't remarry. She was, in her words, she had enough after the one relationship. She had enough, and just wanted to focus on raising her boys and working and trying to enjoy life.
Oh man, she passed away. She couldn't have been that old. How old was she when she passed?
She was 65, and yeah, it's a little bit of a sad story and too cliche. My mom, fortunately, I got to employ my mom for the last 7 years of Manitoba Harvest business, and she was our first or second in command in finance as an accountant, and she walked the business all the way through the sale. She was part of the sale process. But my mom, being a single mom working her butt off, always said, "I'm retiring at 65." And she turned 65, and we were right in the middle of this sale process. And she said, "Okay, I'll stick around until we complete the sale." And she did. She retired the day after we closed the $419 million sale transaction of the business. And I said to my mom, my brother, and I said to her, "Mom, what are you going to do?" And she said, "I haven't taken more than 2 weeks off in the 42 years that I've been working full time. I'm going to take 3 weeks to decide what I'm going to do." And on the 21st day, she had a heart attack and died. And
God.
So,
Oh my
God. A little too cliche. And I'm a big believer in you got to keep doing what your passion and your purpose is in life. Because if you stop, you can ultimately stop, and that's what happened to my mom.
I'm so sorry, man. That is a tragic story, and a good reminder for the listeners to. It is important to hustle and work hard, but you gotta make sure you take time off and enjoy life and follow some hobbies and passions, because you just never know. You just never know, right? I turned 55 this year, and I know so many people. As I get older, you hear those stories, right? You hear those stories about, this person's in great shape and boom, they got XYZ and then they're dead a month later or whatever. And boy, the older I get, I try really hard to enjoy life as much as possible while I'm healthy enough to do so. So man, I'm sorry to hear that about your mother. Wow. Okay. Were you close to your dad?
Not for the early years of life. I think the relationship really started in my 20s, kind of as adults, or as adult to adult, instead of more the father-son relationship. And over the last 20 years, we've developed a good relationship. He still lives in Thunder Bay, so it's like 500 miles away. So we see each other several times a year and talk, but nowhere near the relationship of of my mom that raised me.
Understood. Did he remarry and have kids?
He did, yeah. And so I have a half brother and half sister, and
Okay.
have a good relationship with them as well.
Well, that's good. Were you, since, a lot of guys that grew up in single mom homes, they get in trouble when they're teenagers. They kind of, they're little rebels. Tell me about it. Were you super wild? Were you a party man? Were you getting arrested? What's going on with you when you're a teenager?
So when I was 13, I had enough of school. I went from being a smart kid in school to getting in trouble in school because I had too much time on my hands. So by the time I was in grade 7 and grade 8, I had a full-time desk out in the hallway, and I was hanging out in the principal's office, but I was still getting like A's in school. And so by the time high school came around, which is a big social club, and I was already overweight, which was, kind of nerdy overweight kid, which played into not enjoying school. And so I told my mom, I don't want to go to school anymore. And she said, well, if you can start working instead of going to school. And I said, done. That sounds like a great deal. And so, I left school at 13, and by 14, I was working, on and off, but full time, and a number of different jobs, including construction, doing a bunch of construction work. And so, I generally stayed out of trouble, but I understood more of like how the world was working from the street view instead of from the school view.
Did your dad get involved? Did your dad call and say, what the hell? Like, no, you can't just quit school. Was he involved in that decision at all? No.
No, and because really, at that point in my life, I was probably seeing my dad once a year or something, and he didn't have any influence with my mom. So there was nothing for him to say, really.
Wow.
And,
Wow. And
yeah.
when you say overweight, like what, I'm trying to visualize. So,
Yeah, well,
so
my heaviest weight was over 300 pounds when I was 18 years old. So it's kind of started out.
300 pounds. How
Yeah,
tall are you? How tall are you?
I'm 6 feet. And so it started, I was a chubby kid. We weren't educated about health and ate, processed foods, hamburger helper and kind of, pasta and low
All
cost
of it.
kind of
Yep.
food, single mom kind of food.
Yep.
I just remember, McDonald's set up right beside my school, and we had hamburger day and hot dog day. And next thing you know, I was eating too much fast food. And then I had an accident where I broke both bones of my leg when I was 13. And
Ooh.
I had a pretty, it set me back. And from 13 to 18, I kind of ballooned up from, 200 pounds to 300 pounds. And I was obese. I was
But you were
overweight.
working. You were working though. You weren't just laying around the house.
No, I was working. Yeah, I was working, but I was working and eating fast food smoking cigarettes. I smoked cigarettes for like 8 years.
When did you start? When you were 13, 14, you started smoking?
No, I started smoking when I was 11, turning 12, which I realized, yeah, I never knew that. I thought, a friend bought a pack of cigarettes, and we thought it was cool to go down by the river and smoke cigarettes and drink soda and eat chips or whatever. And then I was addicted. And all the years that I work construction stuff, most people who work construction were smoking cigarettes. And
Oh yeah. Yeah.
and so I was lazy. Even though I was working, I was always feeling kind of tired and sick and tired. And then that's what happened. One day I became sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I was like gonna do something about this. And at 18, I started my health journey that I've been on for the last 25 years.
Wow. Fascinating that you were an overweight kid, fast food, smoking cigarettes, dropped out of school. Now, if you just think about that, if you just let that sink in, you're like, here's a 16-year-old kid. He's overweight. He's smoking cigarettes. He's lazy a little bit. He's, like this kid's going to be nothing. Like this kid's going nowhere. That's what, if you were in Vegas.
That's what everyone was saying. Even unfortunately, some people in my extended family. My mom always believed in me, but I think the cards were kind of stacked. And that's why I like to put myself out there nowadays to show people that unconventional paths lead to success. You know, it's the human body is amazing at healing itself. People can go through traumas and grow from that and really find their path. And I did find my path, and I believe that it's possible for everybody.
Did you any drugs involved? Heavy drugs, coke, marijuana, acid?
Yeah, I've been, cannabis was a big part of my life from when I was young, and I both a medicinal consumer and a recreational consumer, and I've done psychedelic drugs, never any of the hard drugs, thankfully. It just, but mushrooms and stuff, I feel like those gave me a different view of, just besides partying. I think nowadays we realize that, psychedelic mushrooms have medicinal effects to them as well. And so I wasn't really thinking that back when I was, 14, 15, 16, but definitely had
right. Are you microdoser now for mushrooms? Like now, can you share that? Or no?
I've done that before. I've actually been involved. One of my portfolio companies is in mushroom psychedelic research, clinical research to develop pharmaceutical drugs off of psilocybin mushrooms. And so I'm a big believer in mushrooms. I've learned a lot about it over the last 5 years, both from the functional food side of mushrooms but also the medicinal. And I've done microdosing probably 10 years ago or something, but
okay.
I don't, not on the it's not part of my regular lifestyle.
When you were going from 15 to 18, no arrests, no major trouble, didn't get cops or have to call mom from the sheriff's office?
Yeah, I mean, there was a couple times, but it was more of the people that I was hanging out with and less about me. But got myself into a little bit of trouble just by association, and thankfully that never led to a criminal record or anything like that. And then when I grew up, I was like, hey, I shouldn't be hanging out with that crew.
Any of those people call you now and be like, holy shit, bro, you're a millionaire, you sold companies? Is there any of those people in your life now where you're
they're not in my life? No. I when I lost the weight, when I went from 300 pounds down to 180, lost over 100 pounds, I just looked totally different. So no one would even know me if they saw me out. It was kind of a full refresh on life that I got, and I got really into the healthy lifestyle space and then health food space with our business, so I haven't there's been no reunions, or I guess maybe that's part of dropping out of school and not having a high school or university reunion. I just don't see any of those people anymore.
What was the trigger on the health? You said you got tired of being,
you got tired of being tired.
Yeah. What happened? Was there somebody?
Yeah. My brother, I was fortunate to have a brother 4 years older than me that he was a little bit chubby, when we were growing up, but he started working out and going to the gym and really like bodybuilding. And so, I saw, how his lifestyle and his friends, and I was like, I want to get in good shape. I'm tired of this. I don't want to feel like shit anymore. At the same time, when I was 18, I wanted a girlfriend that wasn't a friend. So I think that was also a motivator, and just kicked it off. And once I kicked it off and started to change my diet and go and work out, I got addicted to feeling good. I never knew that I could feel so good when I was feeling that shitty. And I think a lot of people maybe experience that. If you feel bad, you don't know how feeling good is actually until you make some of those changes.
It's true, right? That's so true. By the way, I mean, from 300 to 180, I mean, that is a major accomplishment. When you think back, about your life and all the things you've done with these company exits and everything, losing that weight, that was a major turning point for you, just for so many things, right? That was a major accomplishment. Congratulations on doing that. Did you just cut out? Did you just cut out? No more McDonald's. And by the way, when's the last time you had a cheeseburger or a pizza?
Well, pizza, I'm Italian, so pizza I like, but healthier pizza. But fast food, it's really about the chemicals, that I try to avoid chemicals in my food, because I've been trained enough in the natural products and organic products industry to know that it's not about eating a cheeseburger. It's about, you make a cheeseburger, a good quality one, and it has like 20 ingredients in it. You go buy one from one of the fast food chains, it has like 150 ingredients in it, and half of them you wouldn't even be able to pronounce because they're chemicals in your food, and those have an impact on your body at a cellular level. And so just stay away. But to answer your question, I think my 25th birthday, we were out partying and having drinks. At the end of the night, I was like, we went to McDonald's and I ate a McGriddle, I think, which was a new product at that time, and I just got sick. I was sick for 2 days afterwards. Exactly why I don't eat that crap.
Why? By the way, why does the hamburger that I make at home on my grill, why is that healthier than the hamburger at McDonald's? Why? What's
if you look, and now they didn't have to do it before, but now all those companies, McDonald's and Burger King and all them, have to put their ingredient list on their website, and their calorie content and stuff. But if you look at the ingredients if you say a hamburger you make at home and you go and buy beef or chicken or turkey, whatever you're going to make your pasta, usually you got one ingredient in there, or maybe you're going to put a little egg or something in it. But if you go in the sauces and in the bread and in the cheese and stuff, there's literally hundreds of chemicals. Like I looked it up the other day because my one of my kids wanted to go and have an A&W teen burger, and I said, how many ingredients do you think are in there? And they're like, I don't know, like 15. And I was like, oh, let's go and look. And it was 125 ingredients, and preservatives and additives and food colorings and agents. And there's enough medical, there's enough research to show that messes with you, and different people, it messes with you, at different levels. But there's a lot of people that have gone down my path and healed themselves just by going to a natural food diet. Just avoid chemicals in your diet, avoid chemicals in your lifestyle.
So you're married, kids?
I'm divorced, and I do have kids. Yeah.
How old are your kids?
Single dad half the time. 12 and 10.
Oh, 12, about to hit teenagers. Oh man, you're about to hit the fun time. Now the 12-year-old, is that girl or boy?
A boy.
Does he know that you dropped out of school at 13?
Yeah, and we talk about it openly. It's big believer in them following their passions and doing what they're really interested in, not memorizing and regurgitating things at school. I think I'm a big believer that if you're focused on life of the things that you really enjoy, and that's different for everybody, right? Where people are like snowflakes, everyone's different. But if you want to play soccer all day long and your desire is to play soccer, if you learn the world through your passion of soccer, you could be the best soccer player in the world. Same thing would be true if you're into music. Same thing would be true if you're into art, and the same thing would be true if you want to write novels for a living. So I think going and kind of memorizing things never really worked, especially nowadays, that you can, anything that you want to learn, you can just go to the Google machine and learn exactly what you need to do. And I find myself even doing that. If I need to learn how to clean the air conditioner or something, I'll go and watch the video on YouTube, and you could learn anything you need to learn. So what are you really passionate about? What do you want to do? What drives you every day? And I think that's how you're going to make the biggest impact, on your own personal life, but also on this planet. And I feel and maybe people talk about the why, that's your why, and people want to find their why. I feel very fortunate and grateful that I found my why for health when I was 18 years old. And that's given me everything in life. So I want that for, my kids. I want that for everyone, and just showing them that there's a pathway there.
I hear you saying that if your son decides to drop out of school, you're not going to stop him.
Yeah, he's been homeschooled, so he's on his own education path, it's I look forward to the day whatever direction he wants to go, and he's clear on that. If you want to go to university, and some things you need to, if you're going to be a doctor, you want to be a lawyer.
That's true.
But
right.
you want to be, if you want to be an entrepreneur, I can tell you, as this entrepreneur, school's probably not going to serve you well in that. You get more, you get less risk tolerant, and you learn just how hard business is that way. And whereas if you just go out and start doing it, if you like You know, if you like lemonade, you start making a great lemonade at a farmer's market. You could turn it into a bottled product. You could put it into a couple of stores. You could put it into 100 stores. You could put it to 500 stores, and have a lifelong journey selling fresh lemonade. You know, and if that's your desire and passion, I think you're gonna win like that. And I see a lot of entrepreneurs, and I help a lot of entrepreneurs that are in our space in the natural products industry that are doing just that. You know, they changed their diet, they changed their lifestyle, they had a moment, they had a journey, they created a great product, and they started small, and now they're, you know, a lot of them are creating a bunch of success that way.
I heard you mention divorce, and when you mentioned it, I could see the pain on your face. You know, I've been through one myself, so I know it sucks. Um, so how long has that been? And are you free and single, and you got girlfriends? You're on the are you available? Are you on the market, Mike? So we can tell the girls watching that they can ping you on LinkedIn.
Yeah, no. So I had a triple grieving It's been 3 years, but you know, we sold the business. My ex and I decided it was time to separate and be good co-parents to our kids, and my mom died all within 4 weeks of each other. So it was it was a very challenging time for me, as you kind of stack each one of those transitionary times in life. Is there's a grieving that goes along with it. I just found that it was a triple grieving, because I didn't have the family that I built. I didn't have the business that I built, and I didn't have my extended family and mom relationship. And so I kind of became a monk, you know, for 6 months. I stayed home, and I, you know, lived a simple day, and was focusing on my health and my and you know, getting myself back up and having capacity and having interest to attack life again, business and personal relationships. But yeah, I'm in a relationship now, so I'm not single, but people could still ping me on LinkedIn, because I like to generally connect with people.
Your girlfriend, your girlfriend just heard you say, "Well, I'm dating somebody," but
No, no, not
I
that
like
way.
that.
But yeah, just I like building relationships, and relationships are lots of different kinds of relationships. And
uh,
I
um,
think LinkedIn's a little safer. It's not you know, it's not Tinder or Bumble or one of those dating apps.
right, right. What was your what was your darkest moment? Where you, you know, did you dive down into some severe depression? Did you have to did you see anybody? Did you get help, or, you know, I'm just wondering how dark it got. I know, and the reason I'm asking that question, because I went through a very similar situation. My mom didn't pass away at the same time I got divorced, but there's some dark moments in there, especially when you got little kids, right? When you got smaller kids, it's super ass hard.
Yeah, you know, for sure I just felt like I lost interest in the things that I normally had interest in. So I kind of I went down to having zero capacity for stress, zero capacity for interest, for, you know, being out and being social, being in doing sport, doing some of the things that I like. Fortunately for me, you know, I'm a entrepreneur made into a CEO by growing a large business. So I follow process. So I had already been, you know, therapy has been a part of my life for over a
Oh,
decade.
okay.
I think about mental therapy the same as going to the gym. I've gone to the gym for a long time. I think working through emotional trauma and working through things with a therapist has been really helpful for me. So those three episodes came together, especially my mom's death, which was, you know, was the biggest part of it, actually. You know, I decided to go and see a grief counselor, and just
Mm,
work through the thoughts and
mm,
feelings that I was
mm,
having. So
mm,
for several
mm.
months, I did that. And yeah, I'm a big believer in therapy. I put it out there because I think less nowadays, but there still is a stigma around therapy. Some people think you're like, oh, you got to go to therapy, there's something wrong with you. That's like saying, oh, you're overweight, there's something wrong. You know, you want to go to the gym, there's something wrong with you. No, you want to get in better shape, you know. And so therapy is I found it as a great tool for personal growth.
Okay, very good. I appreciate you sharing that with the audience. You mentioned the divorce, your mom dying, and selling the business, kind of the triple whammy. The one thing you could also add in there is, I'm sure that whatever you made off of selling the business, half of that went to the ex-wife. So you had to write a check for that too. So that was also painful.
Yeah, well, I don't think about it like that. You know, my it's the mother of my children. So, and we had a great relationship, and we built a lot of things together. So I'm not a bitter person, and I think we were very amicable in our separation.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. That's good. Hopefully you don't have, I know a guy, I got a buddy of mine in Florida. Same thing, had a couple of businesses, sold them, made a bunch of money. Wife divorced him. And, for whatever reason in Florida, if you're married for a certain amount of time, it's alimony for life, at least unless she gets remarried. And he's like, "Yeah, bro, I'm writing this check for this amount every month for life." And I said, Really? Is that? I didn't know it worked like that. That's painful." But so tell me, you start off with what? What was the very first? I guess talk to us about the first business that exited successfully. What was that?
Yeah, well, Manitoba Harvest was my baby. It was the business I started in 2001, the hemp food business. So we're making hemp hearts and hemp protein and different hemp.
2001. That was way early. Just for the listeners, didn't mean to interrupt you there, Mike, but just for clarity, right now we're recording this on May 24th, 2022. And when you say the word hemp and hemp foods, it's a lot more common. But just for the listeners, let that sink in. 2001.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know what I was thinking there for a second, Steve, but we actually started the business in 1998. So yeah,
oh,
I was anyway. Yeah, we got hemp legal in Canada in 1998 and started one of the first hemp food companies. And we grew that business to $100 million business over 20
wow,
years.
wow.
It was it took everything I had, more 100-hour work weeks than that, basically taking probably a 40-year career and putting it into 20 years is what I did. But we built a lot of success, built a great business, and we had the opportunity to sell that business. We sold it actually twice, bringing in first a majority new private equity sponsor partner, and in 2015, and then we had a full sale of the business in 2019.
Congratulations. When you started the business, was it bootstrapped? Did you have some money from friends? Did your mom help? How did you get started, if you don't mind?
Yeah, I mean, I would say bootstrapped, but there was three co-founders, myself and two other friends, and we didn't have a lot of money, so I think we put in $10,000 each to start the business, and then went out from there to some friends and family. So my mom did invest. She didn't have a lot of money even at that point in when we started the business, but she put in $5,000, which was great, and so we did. We did raise money several times for the business because we were in the manufacturing, so we were buying oil presses and equipment to make the food products, which was pretty capital intensive, and none of us had money. But there was I had enough. Besides putting the money in to start the business, I had enough savings that I worked the first 2 years without a paycheck from the business.
Wow.
So that
Okay.
was
I
all.
appreciate you
Yeah.
sharing that. So that's a good tip for the listeners, any aspiring entrepreneurs. First 2 years, not only did you put a little money in, but you didn't take a salary the first couple of years, which is more common than the listeners might
Yeah.
think.
No, I think so. I think it's 18 months, 18 to 24 months is kind of the normal. So people that are thinking about starting a business, don't go start a business if you don't have enough dollars in your bank or resources, or for your rent for next month or 3 months. It's good to have that cushion, even if it's a small cushion. We were eating mac and cheese and ramen and stuff at that time. It wasn't it wasn't
How did you decide with your co-founders? How'd they decide you were going to be the CEO? Because it was your idea, you were the kind of the lead on it, and just curious.
Yeah, Martin and Alex were both in business together before, and they were 10 years older than me, and they had a hemp store, and so they were hemp advocates. They were really the power that were lobbying the government to legalize hemp. And I guess I was the young gun coming in. I was super passionate about hemp from the health and nutrition side, because I learned that hemp seed was a really good source of essential fatty acids and plant-based protein. So I had maybe more energy, maybe more excitement, and so when we got together,
Okay.
you know,
Okay.
I just got naturally raised into the leadership position.
Where was it for the listeners? Did you set up your cap table a third, a third, and a third, or who had control of?
Yeah, no, originally was, yeah, originally it was the three of us, and it was a third each, and then as we started to raise capital, it diluted from there, and both of them left the business, you know, much earlier. They left in 2009, 2010.
Was that after the first PE firm got involved? Is that when they left or
No,
before?
still before. It was actually when we had, you know, we raised venture capital, and for both of them, it became, you know, too formal for them, I guess is the right thing.
I can see that. No, that's another good tip for the listeners. You start taking money from people and it gets a little more, a little more
Yeah,
formal.
we had formalized, you know, board of directors and a reporting
Yep.
structure for the senior management
Yep.
team, and maybe less fun for them doing that. I was, you know, that's why I say I'm a born entrepreneur, but a made CEO. I was learning as an executive and a CEO through all of that, and I became really
Yes.
interested in it. I wanted to grow personally into that space, but there was a inflection point there, and they both left the business.
Do you mind me asking this? Did they take their money and run, or did they leave their equity in?
They thankfully, the business gave them the opportunity to leave the capital in, so they left it in until, and so they left the business from a management standpoint, and then formally exited the business when we brought private equity in 2015.
Okay. Very good. When you brought the private equity in, that's when I guess, that's when you officially lost control, ultimate control, in case whatever happened. And now you got a PE firm telling you I'm not saying they told you what to do, but I mean, voting control. That's that's the first time you lost that. How was that for you? Do you have any advice for the listeners? Was that tough? Was it easy? What would you say for the listeners?
Um, yeah, it was definitely a transitionary time. I think, you know, I had a pretty big liquidity event for me personally, so I personally felt good that I had
I see. I see.
my future was, I had a bunch of opportunity, but the pressure was on in the business for sure, with a new controlling partner. You know, right after the sale, it was really exciting. We used the private equity resources. It was $1 billion fund, and we used some of their resources for the company to buy our biggest competitor, which was a $42 million transaction. We bought our biggest competitor, Hemp Oil Canada, and we merged both of those companies together. There was 2 manufacturing facilities and a team of about 200 people. And so I was, as CEO, I was really excited. You know, that those are, I had never done an acquisition of that size, and so that occupied a good year after we had the sale, and then from there it felt like a grind to me. It changed from, you know, after being in business for 18, 19 years, of not feeling like work, even though I did a tremendous amount of 100-hour work weeks, it didn't feel like work to me. It felt like I was following my passion. Started to feel like work, and there was a mutual decision to bring in a CEO, and I retreated to the board of directors, and so I was a director and a shareholder for the last 2 years in the business.
And heavily involved when they sold this last time in 2019, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I had met the CEO of Tilray, who acquired the company, Brendan Kennedy, and introduced him to our CEO and tried to kick off just the timing was right for that, and so I saw the timing was right. I knew the parties, and helped to facilitate the deal.
And another big win for you financially, personally. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, that was the second 9-figure exit, which, you know, every entrepreneur dreams of that kind of stuff. I think of it in like a sports analogy. It was like I lifted the Stanley Cup or the Super Bowl over my head there a couple times, and you know, so as much as there was a grieving process of leaving the business, I knew that it gave me the full ability to transition into what's next for me and for my entrepreneur journey.
Yeah, and I want to talk about what's next now. But before I do that, what a great learning story. I mean, there's so many different things that happened as the company grew, went through taking on cash, learning how to deal with a PE firm, taking it through a transaction, learning on the fly how to be a CEO of a scaling company. I mean, so many things there that you learned that now you can share with others, based on what you went through. It's impressive to build a business and sell it for what you did. That's impressive. What I'm really impressed with is two things. You can tell that you love to learn and experience new things. That does it for you. I can just tell by talking to you that the excitement around, oh, okay, now we get to do this, and I've never done that before. All right, cool. I want to bite into that. You're very passionate about that, and I think that is a telltale sign for a great leader and CEO is they want to learn. They don't go through their day acting like they know everything. They want to learn. They love the new experiences. They love the growth, and I can just tell you're passionate about that. But the other thing I wanted to compliment you on is the fact that you lasted as long as you did through all those changes. The fact that you uh, didn't leave sooner, right? Most founders of a very small business, when they start scaling or they start taking on some early cash, they usually move out of the way and somebody else takes over sooner. You lasted a long time. Even after the PE firm bought it, they kept you in charge for a while. That's pretty impressive. That speaks to your ability to just build relationships, work relationships, handle people, personalities, styles, situations. Nice job. Really, really nice job.
Yeah, appreciate it. No, and I would just say, for your listeners, it's all about personal growth. And I think what teed me
Yes.
up for personal growth, my health and lifestyle changes were a big part of it. I was just used to changing, and I'm not a religious person, but I do like some of the Buddhist mentality of let yesterday die and be the change today. And when you're going through rapid business growth or anything lifestyle, growth in life, you need to grow personally. That's the only way. If you stop growing, you're done. And so I do have a strong interest in growth, and I continue even today. I think about entrepreneurship like a professional athlete. You need to personally grow, and then you need to get better at your skill and your trade, your craft, like on a daily basis. You need to have a passion and interest to do that. And I know that I have that spark. 25 years later, I still have the spark, and I want to put that spark and help others people find their spark or see their spark.
And that's what you're doing now. Talk to us about that a little bit. How are you contributing back? What are you doing? How can people reach you? Talk to us a little bit.
Yeah, I wanted to retire, to come out of retirement, so I did that. I spent 6 months or 9 months doing nothing and healing myself from the grieving of the business. But on the and envisioning what I wanted life to be like on the other side. I'm still a recovering entrepreneur. Growing a business over 25 years is not easy, and so I wasn't set out to go and start another company, but I wanted to be involved in other businesses. So I have now 9 companies in my portfolio. Actually 8. We just sold one of them, another 9-figure exit earlier this year. Very thankful for that, Soul Cuisine. But I have 8 companies in my portfolio that are all in the natural and organic food space, the natural products industry, and I support those entrepreneurs by investing in them, mentoring and coaching them, sometimes playing a role as an advisor or on their board of directors, and that's how I stay actively involved in our industry from a business and investment standpoint. But I also do a lot with mentorship. I believe, and I grew myself personally and was successful in business by giving back. I'm a big believer in giving back to win. Some people call it paying it forward. And so I do a lot with mentorship. I've had over 1,000 conversations in the last 2.5 years with entrepreneurs, mostly in the natural products industry, and just trying to understand where they are in business. Some of them are just starting out. Some of them are a couple $100,000 in sales. Some of them a couple $1 million in sales. Some of them in the tens of millions of dollars of sales, and what challenges they're facing, and then giving them some advice of what I would do if I was in their situation. So one-on-one mentorship like that. Also, some more I'd call it mass mentorship tools. I've launched the Founder to Mentor podcast, where I'm interviewing world-class founders that can inspire people's personal and professional growth. And then Greg Fleishman and I started what is now fatafleishman.org, which is our free startup toolbox, and basically giving all of our tools, forms, and templates that we use to grow our business in a self-serve model. People can go to the website, sign up, and get access to investor lists and investor presentation templates and HR documents and sales and marketing and forecasting and template tools, and just the whole smorgasbord of things that any entrepreneur needs to grow their business. So that's and I feel like I've just started with those give back projects. I can spend the rest of my life doing that because it really fires me up.
So there's no profit plan, no revenue plan for Fata Fleishman at all. It's just a tool, a free service to give back. And there's no
Yeah, there's no commercialization there, Steve. And two things. One, it started naturally and organically. Greg and I were both talking to founders and mentoring them on the regular basis. And we'd say, oh, they ask like, oh, do you have an org chart template? And I say, yeah, I have one of those. Let me email it to you. Oh, I have a
operating agreement, unit agreement.
Let me email that to you. And after a bunch of while, like I said to Greg, why don't we create this as a self-serve model? It started out as a Dropbox file that we sent out to people that had all the files, and we just printed it up to a website, but it's free. It's not a marketing or sales funnel. It's our give back. We're kind of also, besides we were just giving it out to people anyway, frustrated with people that are going out and selling entrepreneurs access to similar tools and charging them when entrepreneurs don't need to pay for that. I think that you need those are mentorship tools, and
love it. I love that, man. I love that. And for the listeners, fatafleishman.org, and we'll make sure we put a link to that in the episode. Hey, that's an awesome tool. We, just like you, we interview startup founders and so forth on the Riderflex podcast so often. Same thing. They'll call me, hey, operating agreement. Do you have a template, unit agreement? Whatever, right? Just you name it. They're always asking for something, and I think it's great that you guys have put that tool out. And who is Fleishman? Is that a buddy of yours? Was he a co-founder?
Greg Fleishman is he's a natural products industry veteran. He's been involved and helped to fund and grow and exit a number of businesses in the space. Okay. The kind of last one, Lily Sweets. He was a part of Chameleon Cold Brew. So he's had some major wins and is just a great guy and loves to give back as well.
That's awesome. Okay, very good.
Yeah, we launched that about a year ago, and it's already been 10,000 entrepreneurs have accessed the toolbox. It was written up in Forbes. It's a great resource. We want more people to know about it.
And your podcast is Founder to Mentor, okay, by Mike Fata, Founder to Mentor, and you can find it on Spotify or Anchor, or wherever, right? Yeah. Everywhere. Yeah. Okay. Very, very good. How many episodes so far?
We're coming on 20. So it's nice. Just some great learnings there of personal growth, business growth, stories from leaders in the natural products industry.
And what about your portfolio or your fund? Is there a name for your fund, or is there a place where people can go and send you pitch decks because they want you to invest?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a fund. It's myself, and it's a family investment. So it's Fat and Associates is the corporate entity. But if entrepreneurs want to connect, they can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn. I think it's a great business tool for founders and entrepreneurs. If they're not already active, they should be active on LinkedIn. But you can ping me on LinkedIn is the best way to get me.
Okay, very good. All right, so it's a family office, so to speak, if that's how you had to describe it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Okay, thank you for sharing all of that. Speaking of LinkedIn, yeah, you are very active on social media overall, by the way. So great job. You do a good job of.
That's new. That's new, Steve. I didn't start social media until 2 years ago. So I was always, as an introvert, I was doing enough in business and doing, brand work and customer sales calls and PR and stuff that when I was at the end of the day, I didn't want to be on social media. And it was really, part the pandemic when everything shut down. I was like, and we didn't have our trade shows to go to. I wanted to connect with friends and other people in the industry and see what's new. So I took to LinkedIn, and over the last 2 years, just sharing some of my personal stories and have grown a pretty big community, and I've seen the success that entrepreneurs are creating by putting themselves out there. So I think it's a time of personal brands. I think if you're an entrepreneur, the best thing you could do is to create a personal brand to complement your business, and social platforms like LinkedIn are perfect for that.
Couldn't agree more. Great tip for the listeners. We got 23,000 followers on LinkedIn, which is nice. Let me ask you this. Because you just said how important social media is to build your own personal brand, what are your thoughts on CEOs and founders speaking out on social media about hot topics or political topics, or making statements or taking sides on things, kind of outside of their business zone, whatever the hot topic is of the month, and they're screaming about something on social media? What are your thoughts there?
I'm not a big fan of politics in general. I know it's part of this world that we live in, but I think as it relates to social media, like, if you want your personal brand to be known as the guy or gal that always weighs in and has a view, I think, maybe that can work. But for the majority of people, that's not going to work. I think pick your lane on things that are important to you. I'll use the example of, someone in the natural products industry. Like, one of your things you're going to talk about is your business. But the other thing you could talk about is your own personal passion for, maybe it's working out, maybe it's being a single dad, maybe it's being someone that loves camping in the outdoors. Like, personalize what you're about, because we're living in the time of people want to understand the company and the people that they're dealing with. Also,
Yes.
I see it works really well for entrepreneurs, is document the story of your own personal growth and the business growth, and share some of that. Too many people, and on average, say, oh, I don't have an interesting story. Who am I? I'm just from wherever. I'm from Oklahoma, or I'm from Saskatchewan, and we're growing chickpeas, and we're selling that product. You know what? People are interested in that. They want to understand, how does that work? And what's your challenges in life, and how are you growing? Like, it's no wonder that over the last 10 or 20 years, reality TV became the hottest thing in television. But it's the same thing that's what the opportunity is in social media for entrepreneurs. So I would go about it that way, and sharing about yourself, and sharing why you're doing it, and sharing about your growth, trials, and tribulations, before kind of getting into any of the news or political cycle, and weighing in on that.
Great advice, Mike. Really great advice. You're right. People want to know the human side of it. They really do. They want to know that, right? I mean, yeah, they want to know about your business, but they want to know, like, well, who is that CEO? What's their story? I always use the Brett Favre analogy when I talk to people. I say, listen, here's the analogy I want to use, or the example I want to use. I saw a special about Brett Favre years and years ago, and there's only one thing I remember from the interview. The one thing I remember is when he said, I was so addicted to painkillers, I was taking 8 Vicodin at a time. And I remember that just stuck with me. I'm like, holy shit. Okay, wow, that's bad. So, but the point is, like, I don't even remember the football stuff, right? It's the human side. It's the little interesting stories and the trials and tribulations, just like you talked about, that people are interested in. What about this? One more thing on social media, one more outside the lines questions, if you don't mind. What about this whole cancel culture? You say something on, you have spent a lot of time building up your LinkedIn profile. What if you said something that LinkedIn didn't like, and they just wiped out your profile? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it happens to people. I don't, again, I'm not, I'm just
Do
not
you?
interested. I'm just not interested in saying anything that's kind of, because I think most of that goes back to being politically charged. Like, I'm an optimistic guy. I've gone through a very challenging time in life, being, single mom, overweight, drop out of school, have to find my, get my health back, find a path for myself. And now I've found a lot of success with that, and that's what I want for everybody else. So that's the message that you see me sharing. You see me sharing,
Yeah.
how to be a healthier you, how to personally grow, where to go get resources to better yourself as an entrepreneur. That's my lane. I love that. I could talk about it all day long, and so I don't see anything don't see myself putting out anything controversial that that LinkedIn would shut me off, as an example. But I do see, that people get themselves into situations, but we are living in a time where social media, it is, people could love you, and then they could lose interest real quickly if they don't resonate with, who you are, what you've done as of recent, and there should be a caution. There should be a caution point there. I think we talk about our kids, like, hey, when I grew up, there's no Facebook or anything tracking me down. There's no pictures of some of the choices that I made when I was 14, 15, 16 or whatever. But nowadays there are. It follows you around for the rest of their life. So be conscious of how you're conducting yourself and how you're putting yourself out there in the world.
Best thing I like about the message you just gave right there, and I've said the same thing, make sure you're producing positive energy on social media, and that you're working to give and help and advise and share. So many people get on social media and spend all of their time attacking and being negative and fighting. It's like, that is wasted energy, in my opinion. Just ask yourself, if you're listening to this podcast, when you're on social media, are you attacking and punching and trying to bring down somebody, or are you spending time helping and giving back and making the world a better place, so to speak, by sharing your experiences? And that's what you were saying, and I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, and I just, I highly simplify things, because I'm a simple person. So when I got into LinkedIn, I realized in my head, I go, oh, LinkedIn is just like a 24/7 trade show. I love trade shows. What you do at trade shows, you walk by and you shake the hand of your friend that you see there. You go and you congratulate someone for a new product that they just launched. You go over and someone won an award and you say, like, congratulations to you. Like, you could do that all day long. So much better than going. Would you walk around a show or in person and troll people and say, you suck, or yeah, is that really how, like, no one does that. And so it's like they hide behind the mask of social media. And yeah, I wouldn't suggest that on anyone. I think that the world doesn't need any more trolls. It needs more optimism. It needs more people that are supportive, and we can grow this world into a healthier and better place.
Good stuff, Mike. Good stuff. Last question. I know we're out of time here. So at this stage, after everything you've been through, you're still a young man, by the way. You still got a ways to go. You still got more battles and scars and victories and all kinds of stuff coming your way, because you're still young, but you have been through a lot for somebody your age. Based on that, moving forward, what is your core purpose in life from here? If you had to define your core purpose in a sentence or two moving forward, what does that sound like?
I think, I want to show people that unconventional paths lead to success. And a big part of their success can be from giving back and helping other people. That's where, I'm right in the process of writing my book. It is going to be the basis of my book, some of my journey and my personal path, but lessons that I've learned that I want to help to share with other people, that they can create success unconventionally and by helping.
Love it. I'm looking for, what's the name of the book?
It's not there yet, but people can go actually to either through LinkedIn or mikefata.ca, sign up, and it's going to launch right at the beginning of 2023. It's in editing right now, but happy to share that. And I think it's going to be a game changer for entrepreneurs and people that are interested in personal growth.
Now, can you put a little section in there that says, hey, look, I've been on 100 podcasts, but the best one I was on was Riderflex, Steve Urban. Can you make like a little note of that?
Could be. I like the marketing.
Mike, thank you so much for being on the Riderflex show. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.